Anxiety is a normal and often healthy emotion. However, when a person regularly feels disproportionate levels of anxiety, it might become a medical disorder. Thank you for joining us on FEBA Online on our English live show. Today's topic is dealing with anxiety. To give us more information and encouragement, we have Dr. Thomas V. Thomas, former managing trustee and chief consultant at Mind at Peace, social scientist, and senior behavioral specialist, Chaplain USA. We had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Thomas last year for a special edition on domestic violence and stress in the family. Stay tuned as we begin this show. If you have any questions related to this topic, please call us at +91 6364252164 or email us at info@febaonline.org. Thank you for joining us on our show today, Dr. Thomas. We are happy to have you in our midst.
Good morning or good afternoon to everyone. Happy to be back in the show, and thank you, Hannah, for inviting me. I hope our time will be a blessing to everyone.
Yes. My first question to you is, what is anxiety or anxiety disorders?
Now, the subject of anxiety is very broad and it's very big. And to talk about that in few minutes is very difficult, but we will try to do what we can. Now, we often hear the word anxiety. Maybe in summary, we can say it is an intense, excessive, and persistent worry or fear about everyday situations.
Okay.
We all are worried about so many things in life. For example, if we are sitting in the car,
Mm.
we are going to an office, and suddenly there is an accident in front of us or a traffic jam, we get slightly anxious. That's okay.
Yes.
But the problem is if we become that anxiety to take over us,
Mhm.
then comes the problem. So the fear is okay, worry is okay, but allowing that to take over us is the problem.
So, what is the cause of anxiety?
The cause of anxiety can be so many reasons. For example, many of us have unrealistic worry about possible harm befalling on us. For example, what I told you earlier about the delay in travel,
Mm.
it is a natural thing.
Mhm.
Then we many times get so anxious thinking if I am going to be late in my work, I will be asked to leave, I will lose my job, or if I am going to have an interview, I will lose it. So that is the cause, that intense and excessive worry and fear, or unrealistic worry that an untoward calamity is going to happen to us. Like, for example, a wind comes. We can feel that, or we can conclude that, oh, it's going to be a big storm. I am going to be blown away, or the tree is going to fall on our house. So that's an unrealistic worry. Is worry good? Yeah, nothing wrong with it. And then also, some people are afraid to sleep alone. See, for me, sleeping alone in a lonely place was a difficult situation. But slowly and surely, I overcome that. Then, for example, in the night, we think that something is going to happen to us, like we are going to die, or somebody is going to leave us. So that causes another form of anxiety.
Okay.
Then complaints of physical symptoms or school days like stomachache, headaches, nausea, and vomiting. Some children are afraid to go to school. Some children are afraid to go to college. So, because of that fear and anxiety, some may have physical ailments like stomachache, headache, nausea, and vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what can happen is social withdrawal can cause anxiety also because we are social beings. So, when we are separated from our society, the sadness can take over us. Then we will have difficulty in concentrating,
Okay.
and then that can cause anxiety also.
Okay. Doctor, you mentioned that fear is good. Is there something called as good fear?
Yeah, because see, for example, see, some of us, or
Mm.
maybe many of us, are fearful of some insects,
Mm.
some wild animals.
Mm.
For example, personally, I am fearful of snakes
Mm.
because from the childhood, somehow that crept into my mind. Snake is dangerous. Don't
Yes.
go near the
Fear it.
snake. So I'm
Mm.
always very afraid. Now, for example, when I hear snake is not a problem, at least I never saw a snake on the ground in America. But when I go to India, I'm always afraid. Getting out of the house, I fear because I saw small snakes in front of my house or in my, land. It's nothing wrong in having that fear, but the
Mm.
problem is I refuse to get out of the house. I refuse to go to the land. I refuse to go walk on the side of the street.
Mm.
Then that becomes a problem. So fear
Okay.
is okay as
Mm.
long as you don't allow that fear to take over our lives.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. I explained it so well. What are the symptoms or behavioral signs of a person who's having anxiety?
Anxiety has, depending on what type or how severe the symptoms are, these are just generalized symptoms.
Okay.
In other words, we feel like shakiness, or we our body is shaking. That can be a symptom. And also we feel like jumpiness. That means we become unsteady and or say trembling,
Mm.
and then tension, then muscle aches, then fatigue, then inability to relax. Then sometimes our eyelids can twitch. In other words, it can keep on moving. Then we can have a strained face, restlessness, and that is what we call motor tension. That is, the parts of our body is under tension. Then autonomic hyperactivity can happen like sweating, heart pounding or racing, feeling of cold, clammy hands, dry mouth, dizziness, lightheadedness, and sometimes we feel tingling in hands or feet, upset stomach,
Okay.
hot or cold swells, frequent urination, diarrhea, discomfort in the pit of the stomach, lump in the throat. In other words, we don't feel like eating anything, or we cannot even swallow the water. And then we may have, high or low blood pressure. All this can happen. And then the major third symptom is apprehensive expectation. That is anxiety, worry, fear, and anticipation of misfortune to self or others. For example, say something happened to our life. For example, let me say something happened in the office.
Okay.
Or the people may think, oh, some misfortune is going to happen to my boss is going to dismiss me or suspend me. In other words, we are anticipating, which is not there already, but we are fearing that. And then lastly, we become distractible. In other words, we cannot focus or concentrate on any difficulty in concentrating on any work, and then sleeplessness. Then sometimes we feel like I am on the edge. In other words, you may have heard people saying, I am on the edge, I cannot go any further. And
Yes.
then lastly, we become impatient also. And usually, these type of things, if it lasts more than say a few days or say maximum 1 month, that's the time we have to take it more seriously.
So, are there different types of anxiety? You've explained about the symptoms. Is it classified?
Yeah, it is classified, but you need to keep in mind many of these psychological problems are overlapping one with another.
Okay.
But just for our information, there is a common anxiety related to separation.
Ah,
And this is what is happening to children, especially young children. Anybody who listening to me,
hmm.
you can see that your small child is sent to school at the age of, is it 5 or 6 in India now? Age
Five.
5.
Five.
Yeah, the children, some of the children go happily outside, depending on their personality, circumstances, the way they are grown up. But some people you have seen, they cling to the mother and father. They have something called as a separation anxiety. This is not only true with children, it can be even adult, like a husband and wife separating for a while to go to a foreign country or a faraway place. So, is the worry reasonable? Yes. But most of the time, it can be unrealistic worry about possible harm coming to us because our support, our attached big person is not with us. And we are expecting, even the mother can feel separation anxiety, and she may be looking at the window through the door, always on the road. When will my child come back? Why? Because the mother fear the child will be lost, child will be kidnapped, killed, or be the victim of an accident. And also, another common thing is when we send our young children to school, college to a faraway place, the parents get worried that they may sleep away from home. They will never come back. Then some people cannot even sleep because of this problem of separation anxiety. Now, then there is another problem, what we call little more serious, is the over anxious disorder, unrealistic worry about future events or what is going to happen. I will give you one example.
Okay.
Take, for example, a function of marriage which is going to happen after, say, 3 months. People start worrying about it. Then some people are preoccupied with the behavior of somebody and fearing that that negative behavior may come again and again in the future. Over concern about competence in a various variety of areas, example, academic, athletic, social. That is over anxious. People may not agree with me, that is fine, but I always advise the people.
Mm.
Even when you are going for an interview, some people, some psychologists may go with the hope that you are going to get it. Okay. But I have a disagreement. And I always say, go with the attitude 51% you are not going to get it, 49% you are going to get it. Reason why I say 51, in case you don't get that job, you are not going to lose hope. You already prepared your mind. That doesn't mean you don't need to prepare. So this is just a balance you have to keep. Otherwise, it can be over anxious. Now, when we come to something like panic attack and everything,
Mm.
dealing with this little more in length.
Yeah. So, can we talk about panic attacks? Because I've heard people, especially young people in maybe college, they say, I'm going through a panic attack. I'm not able to breathe. What is panic attack, and why do people go through such attack?
All right, panic attacks, or in one other form, call it anxiety attack. As I told you in the beginning, many of these words are overlapping
Mm.
and used for various reasons. Okay, like for example, we use the word love, right?
Yes.
And the love can be between husband and wife, love can be between boyfriend and girlfriend, love can be between the man and a dog, or
Yes.
love can be between that one person and a lady and her kitchen. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
but is it all same? No, it's not same. But we use that same word for everything. So panic attack can be termed as anxiety attack, and it is sudden onset of intense apprehension, like for example, losing a job. For example, I am going to lose somebody who is going for an surgery, or some people can have that panic attack, or maybe little more go further. It is an intense fear. Then they may fear that some terror is going to happen to them, or some impending dooms. Things are going to collapse. So that is panic attack.
Then why do people say I'm unable to breathe? Does it lead to any medical condition like
Right, right.
hospitalization and all those things?
Yes, yes. Some of the symptoms of panic attacks can be, let me put it into say, some very, very fearsome. Okay.
Okay.
The palpitations can become a problem, and they can have chest pain and discomfort. And then feeling of choking.
Mm.
And once it so happened, I'll give an example so that with that example, those who hear me can understand.
Yes.
About, I think, 15 years back, one day, maybe slowly, I felt I cannot breathe correctly. I called my doctor, and the doctor asked me all sort of questions. Any chest pain, any stomach pain, anything that this and everything. I said, none of that thing is happening, but I cannot breathe. I feel like dying. Somebody is choking on my throat. So my doctor said, why can't you call an ambulance and go to that hospital? When I went to the hospital, they kept me for 3 days. They were checking for my breathing problem, my heart problem, my lung problem, every test they have done. They discharged me. I came home, and next day I went to a church. And at the end of service, I was sitting on the back, and I felt that something is not right. So I told one of my friends to drive me to the hospital. Not the same hospital I went, a different hospital. I said I don't want to call an ambulance with all its horn blazing. I don't like it.
Mm.
So I told him put all the lights and just to go fast. And I reached there. You know, one doctor, he's an ordinary doctor. When I explained everything, He gave me a tablet. He concluded, or he was of the opinion, I have a panic attack.
Mhm.
So from that time onwards, he advised me wherever you go, maybe it's good to carry this little medicine with you in case you have it. It's like an anti-anxiety medicine. So feeling of choking can happen, dizziness can happen, unsteady feelings can happen, hot or cold flashes can happen, sweating can happen, faintness can happen, trembling can happen. The same symptoms which I told you about anxiety.
Yes.
And shaking can happen, fear of dying can happen, and if it some of these symptoms can last for minutes or hours. So it is always good to seek medical attention if it happens. And also go to an open space because many people are fearful of closed places, claustrophobia. Some people are afraid to sit in the plane,
Mm.
and some people are afraid to go into a dark place. So the best thing is avoid that one.
Okay. So, what are the preventive methods? How can we deal with this anxiety or panic attack? How do we approach this?
Well, if the problem continues, or if the family has a history of mental illness, or there are other symptoms, you see it, it is always better to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, a professional, and undergo some test or talk to them. Unless the counselor is well versed with psychology and such sciences, counselor alone may not be able to help because there are so many counselors who have no training in psychology. These are some few suggestions if you are anxious in life. Take a time out. And I will give you, going back to that example of traffic jam. Even if you become anxious, even if you try to open the window and shout at people, nothing is going to happen. The traffic is stopped. Unless the traffic movement, you cannot go forward. So the best thing you to do is, if you can, open the window, relax, listen to some music, let it happen, and always have an attitude this too shall pass away. See, like people like me, we go to our work almost 1 hour driving in heavy traffic and many days very hard to reach the workplace. Getting worried, shouting, yelling, is it going to help? No, just to relax. Take a time out from your daily activities if it is in a different situation. Eat a well balanced diet. Diet is very, very important. Unfortunately, many of us do not care for our diet. Eat a well balanced diet. Because you like some food, don't eat that too much. Morning, evening, afternoon. Don't avoid breakfast. Then avoid alcohol and caffeine, which can aggravate anxiety and trigger panic attack even. Everything is good. Nothing wrong in drinking a cup of coffee or tea, but watchful how much and how often you are drinking that. And then get enough sleep. At least 6, 7 hours of sleep is necessary for an adult. For the children also, get enough sleep and eat the food much before you sleep. Then
Mhm.
also exercise daily and morning and evening if possible, or take a walk. And nowadays, many of the people have, iPhones or similar gadgets. You can put your health check on it, and when you come home, you can check how many feet you walked. I walk like that. And if it is not enough, I come home and take a, a few round around my where I live. And then once a while, take deep breaths. Go to an open space, take deep breath. And a simple thing, count one, two, three, four, up to like a 10. And if that is not going to help, count again. And lastly, whatever you can do, the simple way of putting that is do your best to get out of anxious moments and stay away from the fearsome things. For example, I told you if you are fearful of sleeping in a lonely place and alone, don't go there. Avoid it. Look for some other opportunities. One thing I always tell the people: if you don't like a particular job, why you want to stress yourself and continue with it? Look
Yes.
for another job and get out of it because it's not worth destroying your life.
Thank you, Doctor. You explained it so well. A well balanced lifestyle and right thinking attitude will help people who are going through this issue. Now, the reality is that we all are going through the pandemic, COVID 19, and many people are affected by it. How can people cope with this anxiety of COVID 19?
Okay. I may have told this in my last talk also. I don't know. We
Yes,
were
yes.
talking about COVID. See, I have close contact with COVID patients, and some of the patients die just to say 50 to 60 feet away from where I sit. I see dead bodies going. Of course, we close the door. I know that it's going. We use the same elevator or lift to go up to the office. So COVID 19 is a reality. And I can only say that nobody knows when we are going to be getting out of this.
Mm,
Because so many variants are coming from different, and medical science is struggling or trying to do all they can with the vaccine, whether booster is needed. It is a reality. Now, all what we can do is what we can do, or maximum what we can do is avoid crowded places.
mm,
If it is not really needed, you don't need to go to the shops inside. Example, when we go for shopping, I usually, not all the time, sit in the car. My wife go and get the things. Okay. And then cover your face. Always stay far 6 feet, around 6 feet away from the people. And wash your hand, wash your clothes. It is a miracle. Like I survived going into different hospitals, meeting with the patients, so many um, possibilities of getting COVID. Somehow I am still healthy. I never had COVID. Can people get COVID? Yes. But we don't need to be over anxious about it. And I sometimes say many people may have a OCD problem maybe after all this thing is over. Like, for
mhm,
example, they may not be able to walk without a mask,
mm.
or they will keep on washing their hands. So just to relax and trust the Lord, just to pray and smile. And as I told you before, these too shall pass away. It will go away,
Yes.
or we will have the immune system or ability to live with it. And see, one example, I will give you one example connected to this. Few years back, there was a big talk about AIDS, right? HIV and AIDS.
Right.
People were afraid.
Hmm.
People were afraid even to sit on a toilet seat, which is used by other people. People were fearful of so many things. But now, as the years passed by, do we fear the AIDS and HIV like before? No. We are not fearful of touching somebody or going into a bathroom of somebody. We are not fearful. So many theories came out, but now most of that theories were false. I remember attending HIV AIDS classes 20 or 25, 30, 35 years back, maybe around 30 years back. So all I can say is COVID-19 will pass away. Follow the rules, take the vaccine.
Thank you, doctor. Uh, as we're going through this, I'm sure that many people do feel lonely and isolated, and the situation worsens because family members are affected, and they're not able to relate and stay together. So, how do people deal with such situations, especially when they are affected with this virus? And many are getting anxious. So, how do people deal with this?
Well, we have to find a way out of the situation. For example, even though telephone, Zoom, computer, all these things have negative side of it, it can be misused. But the possible, the positive side is
Hmm.
all these things are helpful. For example, if you and I are friends and we are living in two different countries, we are say we are very close friends, we could not see each other personally, but at least we can see each other through Zoom. So that's just an example I am saying. Like with the people who are living in faraway place, they can connect with each other through Zoom, through Facebook, through WhatsApp, and that is one. Number two is develop some healthy habits. For example, I have a, I must say, I have a small, beautiful garden.
Hmm.
I take pride in taking care of it. Like
Hmm.
this morning, I got up my time around 7 o'clock, and somebody is coming to help me with the garden at 8 o'clock. I walk down to the basement. I started doing some work. It gives me a lot of pleasure, lot of happiness. So that gives me my friend. I talk to my flowers. I talk to my plant, and I don't dwell my mind on COVID or fear and death and everything.
Hmm.
And talk to people, enjoy. Uh, if it is possible, like people who go into religious places, at least keep in touch. And also, it is a good time to read some books and engage in some healthy games in the home. So whatever you can find, do it. In closing that area, all I can tell is loneliness is a reality.
Hmm.
Even husband and wife living in the same room because
Hmm.
not going out for work can create tension also. It can create a lot of problems. But again, coming back to my what I said few minutes back, do your best, get out of loneliness. Friends support each other. Parents support the children. Children support the parents.
Very good, vital points that we can cultivate, we can practice during these difficult times. We can learn new habits, new hobbies, and get through it. I have this question in mind, especially with regards to children. See that the psychological stress in children has increased considerably during this COVID pandemic. Many children are unable to go out and play and have fresh air and play with other children. And how do parents and family members deal with this stress, especially with little children? What can they do?
Yeah, it is. It is one thing I can tell. I'm not blaming anyone, but the reality is none of the governments, social organizations, churches, or schools ever thought of this type of situations. But at least now we have a better handle on things. This is going to be a very tough situation for people living in one room or two room apartments. If it is a single house, at least they can get out. All what I can suggest is do not get fighting with each other. There is lot of chance for tension. There is lot of chance for unhappiness. The stress not only on children but on parents are too much. So try to avoid harsh word to each other. Try to avoid getting angry with each other. Sometimes we may not have enough space even to walk in the room, five people and six people.
Mm,
We have to learn to live with it. Like for example, if we are in a camp with 100 people and there is only very little facility, like the toilet, eating place, sleeping place, are we going to fight with each other? No, because if we are going to fight with each other, we are going to hurt ourselves.
mm,
So we have to learn to live with it. See, for example, I always say, if you have only one piece of bread and you are five people are there so hungry, are you going to grab from one another's hand? No. Share it into five pieces and thank God and eat and try to sleep. So children need a lot of help. Places like church, pastors, priests, they all have to think of ways to help the people. And the society need to develop ways. And I can tell this one, which I often use like a quotation. If there is a will, the way opens. Children can live happily. And if things are getting out of hand,
mm,
talk to people who are experts in counseling, psychology, psychiatrists.
mm,
And it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult. Maybe best example I can use is we were caught in a in a forest.
mm.
We don't know where to go, right?
Yes.
But we have to try. We have to look for the sunshine somewhere and find is there one. We have to look for where the water is flowing. Maybe if we follow that, we may reach a river. Something like that. We have to do something,
Yes.
get out of that situation.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for your encouraging words. Any concluding thoughts as we have come to the end of the show? What would you like to tell our listeners who are listening to the show?
All right. All I can tell is we are living in a troublesome, fearful, anxious, or I must say, a very unhappy situation around us. It is our choice whether we want to make our life more miserable or whether we want to get out of it. The things will happen. Things will happen all against us. Sometimes we feel that everything around us is falling on us. And we as human beings trust the Lord. I am a Christian. I trust the Lord. I read the Bible. And even if you are not a religious person, have some positive attitude. This too shall pass away. Smile, do some good, seek help. Do not play with anxiety and panic attack. Seek professional opinion, and you will have a better life tomorrow. And God bless all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for sharing such vital information and also encouraging our listeners. Maybe some of them are going through very difficult situations, and I trust that the talk has helped them and will help them even in the future. Thank you so much for taking your time off and sharing valuable inputs.
Thank you.
I trust this program has been informative, and if you want to reach out to us, please call us at 916364252164 or email us at info@febaonline.org. Please stay tuned to FEBA Online.